Rosy Hardy, this is Rosy Hardy Gardening.
I am in our commercial propagation unit and I'm going to give you a quick tour of what we are sowing at the moment and how we are bringing it all along.
So what you can see here is known as a mist bench. So from these come out fine mist of water. Behind me is the actual dials that control this mist unit, and basically what happens is that if the air temperature is really quite warm, it will set it off to spray, and then it will shut down because it's set on about 1 minute burst of water. That just keeps the surface of the trays, both of the seeds and the cuttings that you can see behind, all nicely moist. But underneath this black plastic is a heated mat, so it has basal heat, and that is kept at around about 17.5 degrees centigrade. So they get warm bottoms, and it means that the seeds can come through and germinate at their own risk. You'll see all sorts of different ones. They're all labelled up. Some have got double labelling in them, and the double labelling means here for this particular one, this is Thalictrum pubescens. It has got to be in the fridge week 43, out week 47, and then put back onto the warmth here. That is what needs to be done to the seed. It is covered over. And the reason why there are two different coverings is that we are really getting into the fact that we've found a product which can take over from the vermiculite. So this is the vermiculite here. This is the cork that is the same grade, and it's working really, really well for us. Cork is a brilliant product. I have talked about it before, but as a topping to cover over seedlings that need covering, it is really great. It allows enough moisture through, it allows enough light to get through and penetrate to the seeds, and it is light enough. So this is really, really good stuff. Also, it has bacterial and fungicidal properties, which means that we no longer get problems with green mold on the top of the surface of the seeds or the cutting areas, and we no longer get the shore fly. That's the fly that hops about all over the place, because this is stopping that. So it's keeping everything much, much cleaner. Bark is a regenerative product to use. It is a byproduct. The trees slough this bark off and it can be used. So it's brilliant. Whereas vermiculite is mica, dug out the ground, can't be regenerated. So this is a much better, greener product, and we're happy to be using it ourselves. Some seeds, like this Angelica, are laid on the top here. So in here we've got Primulas, we have got, what have we got there? Sesilli, we've got Stipa, Delphiniums, Dieramas, Aeoniums, Scabiosa, Mitella, Heuchera, Melanoselinum decipiens. Also on this side we've got Foeniculum. So there's a huge array of seeds that we are setting now. These are seeds that we have collected ourselves from plant material and sown it straight away. And what happens is it will take them a little bit of time, and like this one here, this Aeonium, this is Aeonium tubulare. This has started to actually come up really well. It's the first time we've done that one. Really, really pleased with that. I only want one for myself. So this is how they start life. Little bit of bottom heat, then they get that. 2-3 weeks, we will have germination. They then move to the next bench where they have no mist on them, and we will move to there. Once the seedlings are big enough that you can actually handle them, they get taken off the mist, they get brought over to this area so that they've then are weaned away from the fact that they're always getting moisture on the surface. These are only watered every now and again underneath the trays, and they have to start utilising their roots properly. So these little seedlings are all ready to prick out. They're big enough that you can hold the leaves, and then they're absolutely fine. This one is Telekia. We have got Selinum wallichianum. We've got little ones here of Primula. This is Primula elata, and those again are just about ready to move. Stachys byzantina, Alchemillas, Mitella again. This is Potentilla, Pimpinella, Crambe. This one is Daucus carota, so this is a biennial. This is doing really well, and this is going to be pricked out very shortly. Some things like Morina, longifolia, come up really quickly and become big plants very, very quickly. So these now need to be done because they really need to be lifted out and pricked out so that we can get them growing on, because in this lot of medium that they are growing in, they don't have very much, if any, food. So you need to move them on from here into something that has some food. We have been collecting and sowing seed for quite a long time through the autumn. So you've got some things which have been pricked out, which are really quite tall. These are Cerastium, these are Linaria, these ones are Lichnus. You've got Aquilegias there, semi-Aquilegias, Campanulas, all sorts of things there which are quite a large size. And when you look at the base, you will see the lovely little white roots all coming out of these plugs. So they are doing really well. And if I was to just hold that one up, you can see it's got beautiful roots at the base there. So these ones will probably get pinched out now. They really are at that point where they need to be pinched out. So you're going to take the tops out of them and make them much better than they are. You can either do it with your fingers, or they'll probably come through with their sharp snips and just cut these all back, and that will make them much bushier plants. Also, we have the latest lot of plants that have been pricked out. So these are much, much smaller and much tinier. But when you prick them out at a smaller size, they do far better. So they're going into a compost. We do peat-free everywhere, from sowing through to this, through all the cuttings, into the potting. We're all peat-free. We've now got a peat-free medium for all of this, which has some feed in it. And that means that these have got a bit of food. So everything that you see here, which are small young plants, so lovely little babies like this, which were probably only pricked out last week, these will now stay in this area within this tunnel, and they will be kept frost free. Again, these are just given a little bit of water over the top. Once they're big enough, they're rooted right the way down to the underside of the actual trays. They will be lifted off these tables and put onto the ground where it will be colder. This is kept at +5 centigrade right the way through the winter, so they can keep going really nicely. And then once they're bigger and we're getting into the spring, we'll move them outside into the cold tunnels to get them really hardened off before we pot them on and they go outside, and then they have to fend for themselves. So it's a really smooth process going from seed sown through to them germinating, through to them being pricked out, being slightly larger, and then carrying on through. So we will carry probably 300 of these trays like this through the winter, ready for spring potting, ready for spring sales. And there is a lot of different material here. We've got Stachys, we've got lupins, we've got Luzula, we've got Scabiosa, all sorts of things ready to go. So that gives you a great idea of what you can sow in the autumn over winter, frost free, and keep them going really nicely. Just don't overwater and make sure they get plenty of airflow. Thank you very much for watching, and please do subscribe to the channel.